iRig Guy here. I wanted to post a follow-up review about the Sony a7 III that I'm filming this video with, and I want to give a 2-week follow-up review. I know a lot of y'all, because this camera is an extremely high demand, that a lot of y'all may not have one yet. So I want to do as much as I can to keep you entertained while hopefully you wait. Maybe you've ordered one, maybe you haven't. If you haven't ordered an a7 III, check the link within this video's description, because I've got the a7 III there. I've got the microphone I'm using, the 85mm lens that I'm using, the tripod, and obviously a ton of other accessories too. But I want to do a 2-week follow-up review for the a7 III, and you can see here one of my favorite features. And granted, with the a7 II, I was able to pair the PlayMemories app with my a7 II that I used for several years. Love that camera, but the a7 II, the autofocus performance was pretty much not usable. So I found myself using manual focus. This video that I'm filming right now, filming it within autofocus. I have an f1.8 aperture. I've set that within the app, f1.8, ISO auto. You don't have a film crew. Got the microphone attached to the top of the camera. Absolutely love this camera. One of the things that's so cool about the a7 III, and again goes in line with what this video is about, my 2-week follow-up review of the a7 III, is the battery life. The battery life of the a7 III is absolutely outstanding. Initially when I bought the camera, obviously I knew I needed to get one extra battery, because what if I'm out for a long time, my battery runs out, I need to have at least one more battery. But I hesitated about buying additional batteries because I wanted to see how well the battery performed first. And the difference between a7 II battery life and a7 III battery life is night and day. I mean, this thing, and I'm going to have to test it for many more months before I have a very accurate determination, but I'll go as far as to say that someone with 2 batteries, especially if they're shooting primarily video instead of stills, someone with 2 batteries may be able to get by all day with 2 batteries. I mean, that's how insanely awesome the battery life is. So with the 2 batteries that I have, I'm perfectly fine right now. With my a7 II, I would have had probably 9 or 10 batteries. I mean, they were a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter, but still it was less convenient, because you had to change those batteries at a very, very frequently. Keep hearing something behind me. I'm out in the wilderness. I did defocus the background with an f1.8 aperture. That's the other thing. The video on this, the 4K video, blows the a7 II out of the water. And I attribute a lot of that to the fact that it's basically downsampling. I think it's either 5 or 6K, and obviously it's downsampling to 4K, 3840 by 2160. But I mean, just the level of detail, whether I'm in manual mode or auto mode like I am now, the level of detail that I get from the a7 III's 4K video is, in my opinion, greatly superior to the a7 II. Again, the a7 II video was great, but when you do them side by side, there's a noticeable difference, and the a7 III video is better. And that's interesting, because the a7 III is a base model camera. The a7 II is a much more high-end professional model. So it's interesting that Sony has rolled out such an awesome upgrade for a base model camera. Now the other thing, the menu system on the a7 III, as I mentioned previously, is absolutely awesome. And what I've been able to do now, after using the a7 III for a couple weeks, is go into the menu, create my own custom menu, and dial it in just like I want it. So on my custom menu, and you can check out my video, check the link within this video's description to find the video where I talk about my custom menu system. But I'll go as far as to say that that is one of the major improvements that this camera brought to the table, because with the new menu system, I can have format, I can have APS-C, I can have change the focus mode, I can have a few other settings in there like the mobile app that I'm using right now. So it's really improved the user experience quite a bit. And that in itself, I would say that the menu system in itself is a huge reason to jump from an a7 II or an a7 II to the a7 III, because it makes a huge difference, especially if you're changing settings a lot, and if you're shooting primes where you may not have a lot of glass in your backpack, but you want to go from Super 35, well actually from full frame to Super 35, and in essence zoom in using that prime lens. That's a cool feature that you get with with this camera, and it is a full frame camera. I mean, this thing is, it's absolutely, it's blown my mind. And again, using the a7 II for several years, that was an awesome experience. But to step up from the well, actually I should say step down from the A7R2 to a base model A7 III. I mean, it's just been a major upgrade. And I love this app functionality. I love being able to be in Aperture Priority movie mode, change my aperture if I want to within the app. Let's demonstrate that. So I'm on f1.8 aperture right now. Let's bump it all the way up to f22. I mean, this is, look at that. That's f22. So I jumped from f1.8 to f22 in the app without a film crew. So let's go down to something kind of moderate there. Let's go to f8. So we're going to go to f8 aperture. So now we're at an f8 aperture. And now let's go down to like an f5.6. So now we're at an f5.6 aperture. Just a really cool convenience. Now let's go back down to f1.8 again, this 85mm lens that I'm using, and you can find it within this video's description, but it's 85mm f1.8. So that right there, that's your maximum amount of defocus background. I really like defocus background, but in certain scenarios where you may be filming documentary travel videos, etc., you probably don't want the background defocus because people aren't going to know where you are. So if you're traveling and you want to show off what's in the background, maybe you're talking about a boat behind you or a beach or whatever, you're going to want to use you're not going to want to shoot wide open for that. You're going to want to use probably at least an f5.6, maybe even an f8 to show off what's in the background, but still make you pop out from the background. So this app functionality I love, and that's a common misconception that people have had, is that the A7 III doesn't have apps. The A7 III, they removed the app thing. Within A7R2, there was a section that was called apps or something. I never used those. But what they did not remove from A7 III is the PlayMemories App functionality. The PlayMemories App is controlled with smartphone, and you can check the link within this video's description to find my tutorial for how to set it up. But basically, you just pair your smartphone with your A7 III using Wi-Fi, and it functions as a very cool field monitor of sorts. And the good thing about it is that's a phone that I'm carrying with me anyway, so I can repurpose that phone to function as a viewfinder or field monitor while I'm in the field without a film crew. Really cool feature. The still photos quality of this camera, there was a bee flying by, is excellent. Now it doesn't do 42 megapixel, so if you're doing landscapes and you need to have, crop in on a sailboat or something like that, it's not going to look as crisp because it's shooting at 24 instead of 42 megapixel. With that said, I found the dynamic range and just the overall quality of the photos, especially the autofocus. The autofocus on this camera is mind-blowing, and it will, that in itself sets this in a league of its own. Sets it above A7R2 and A7S, or A7R2 and A7R3 in my opinion. So just a really good kit. Again, it's all about the lens. So if you do decide to plunge for an A7 III, be sure to get good glass for it, because if you don't, you're getting in a situation where you've got a good camera body, but the glass is going to degrade the quality of your videos and or your photos. So just something to keep in mind there. I've really been thrilled by this camera, and want to continue to bring a lot more content. With that being said, any questions that you have, let me know. I've addressed a lot of your questions so far within videos that I've filmed. Check the link within this video's description. You can find them all there. But I'm looking for more things to test in the field as well, because I do understand that this camera is in such high demand that a lot of people haven't been able to find one yet. So, you're probably like I was, and you were researching and trying to figure out, well, is this something worth downgrading to? And you may have taken the downgrade plunge, or you may not have. So, anything that you want to know, just ask, and I'll try to address it within an upcoming video. And again, check the link within this video's description, because you can find the A7 III camera body, the microphone that I'm using right now. And it is worth mentioning, out in the wilderness, there is a stream in the background, there's insects and stuff buzzing around, so the mic's probably picking all of that up. But with that said, tell me what you think about the quality. This entire video, again, it was filmed with the iPhone app enabled, so I could confirm that I was properly aligned within the camera's field of view. F1.8 aperture, 85mm lens. So tell me what you think about the quality. Another thing, and I address this within another video, is that you cannot tap to focus within the app. So all this autofocus action that you're seeing right now is just being done magically. So one last thing, the eye autofocus, if you're shooting still photos, portraits, that sort of stuff, The eye autofocus is wicked good. I mean, you can create photos with this thing that'll probably blow most any photographer's mind. So with that being said, awesome camera. This is the 2-week follow-up review. Stay tuned for more follow-up reviews after I've had more hands-on time with my A7 III. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. youtube.com/iRickSky. Y'all have a good day. I'm going to stop the recording within the app. Check this out. See if I hold it up here so you can see it. So it's got a little record stop. I'll just push that. Hey y'all, iRickSky here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.